What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to DylanTalksTone. Thanks for coming and hanging out for the Just Gonna Say It podcast that we do every Tuesday at 4 p.m. We appreciate y'all coming and chilling with us. We're going to talk guitar stuff today. We're going to talk about it's been on my mind lately that I think people shop for gear incorrectly. And I think as a result of that, they miss out on really cool stuff. So I think if you think about this a little bit different, you're going to see more cool stuff, not less cool stuff. I think you're going to be open to more cool things. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. We don't have sponsors for this stuff. So do me a favor and go and scan that little thing right there, or go to DylanTalksTone.com and check out all the stuff we've got going at DylanTalksTone. We are doing some Strat stuff this week. So we've got 15% off Strat upgrade stuff. So pots and caps and switches and upgrade wiring kits. So like if you want to change all the Squire wiring out in your Squire Strat, you can do that. Even if you don't want to put new pickups in it, you can change all the pots and cap and switch out and stuff for more reliable stuff. So that's pretty cool. So if you go over there, you'll see it. And there's a section, and everything in that section is 15% off this week. So go on and check that out. Also, go to the bottom of the front page to the rig of the week. And this Thursday, we will pick out our favorite picture from the rig of the week submissions. And you can be, when you do that, then you'll be entered to win something cool at the end of the month. We just sent out this morning, actually, to last month's winner, a tool set from StuMac. So it will be something like that. So yeah, there you go. That's kind of what we got going around here. So let's talk about this. I think people's approach to buying gear and what they're looking for. Oh, hang on. We got a super chat. Sorry about that. Sean McMillan says, cool stuff is cool. Thank you so much for your super chat, Sean. Hope everybody's, let's see, just got my Runway audio cable. Big difference. Highly recommend. Oh, excellent. That is awesome, because we did have that Australia problem with Runway audio. And so I appreciate to know that has been resolved. That's very cool. So I want to talk about this because I think it comes up a lot. I'll tell you how this came to my mind is, when we review stuff or when we share stuff. So like, let's say, we've been talking about this amp lately, and I've got another amp review coming up, and we've got, been talking about pickups and, before and after and that kind of thing. Well, the tone is worse. Yeah, but it doesn't do this. Yeah, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't have, I didn't hear this. I didn't hear that. I think there is a common frustration when somebody watches a review, or when somebody, is shopping for something. They're looking for a sound. Right? They're looking for a particular sound, I think. I think this is what happens. And you let me know in the comments. But what happens, I think, is because of the way humans work, you watch a review by anybody, or you watch any kind of content, doesn't matter. It could be something on Instagram, could be something on TikTok. And if it doesn't make the sound you are specifically looking for, therefore the gear gets dismissed. It's like, for some reason, people think that because this amp didn't do what I wanted it to do when I watched this review, that this amp is now not capable of doing that thing. That the sound that I heard is the only thing that this amp can do. It's a common thing, because we see it in comment sections all the time. And so that could be a couple of things, right? That could be how the demo is done, because invariably there's going to be people that do things differently. And a person who picks up a piece of gear for the first time, or for the second time, or for, they've had it for a month and they've been playing it and they're going to share it with you. invariably they're going to look at it differently because they hear something different. Their mind is in a different place when they sit down to the controls of whatever it is. It could be a pedal, a guitar, set of strings, doesn't matter. So their approach is going to be different to it. On the flip side of that, sometimes I think as players, we are so limited in what we think we can hear. We have no imagination. So it's like, well, if it doesn't, somebody made a comment on my video last week. Well, what do you mean this thing doesn't have a clean channel? Of course it has a clean channel. Of course it does. Yeah, of course it does. But because you didn't hear what you wanted to hear, then automatically it gets dismissed, which is sort of weird. It's a weird thing. So I don't really know why this happens. There's a lot of variables that go into it, right? Everybody records demos differently. There's no standard. There's no standard of how to do it, right? So microphones, setups, levels, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, players do things differently. I approach a guitar and an amp combination as a pickup builder. My brain does it differently. I want to hear the crossover between things. So this little kind of give you an idea. I want to hear like the line getting blurred between clean and dirty, for example. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, I want to hear a clean channel and I want to hear a dirty channel. Not me. I want to hear where it blends across, because I know how my pickups work. I know how my amp works. And if I don't know how my amp works, that's what I want to know, right? So a lot of times, for example, if I'm working on a pickup thing or a guitar thing, I use an amp that I'm very familiar with or a profile that I'm very familiar with. If I'm working on an amp thing, then I'm going to use a pickup and a guitar that I'm very familiar with, so that there's like one variable less to deal with, right? And then that'll tell me I can feel the difference. I like to know that transition, like edge of breakup thing and what the volume knob does right at that edge of thing, and then push it a little bit more and then push a little bit less. And like, I like that, because the bottom line is this: all amps, if you turn them down, they'll be clean. Okay. That's easy. Now, you might not like the tone of that amp because you might not like EL84s or EL34s or 6L6s or 6V6s or whatever. And that's a learned thing that you have to know, that you just have to get there. You have to understand that and like that or not like that. It's okay. It's totally fine. But it's real easy, right? It's real easy to do that. Now, on the driven side, like on an overdrive side, whether it's guitars or pedals or amps or whatever, that's a whole different thing, because everybody approaches that differently, because of the way we structure what we do. You might be a totally clean amp with an overdrive pedal person. You might be an edge of breakup amp with a boost pedal. You might be a completely crushed amp with, just super shred. I don't know. You might have really hot pickups. You might have not very hot pickups, right? So what the piece of equipment can do basically has nothing to do with what you hear in a demo. Ever. Hardly ever. But for some reason, guitar players really hook on to this thing that it's like, well, it didn't do that, so I'm not going to buy it. Oh, it sucks at that. Or it happens to us. I'll tell you what happens to me personally is we'll show you a before and after of a pickup demo, and somebody will be like, that tone got worse. Well, it didn't get worse. It actually got better, and I can show you how it's better and why it's better. That is not debatable. If this guitar pickup does not make this sound, and now it does, that's very simple. The application of that is different for everybody, and you're going to use it different, and you need to decide that, right? So that's a tough thing to do. That's a real tough thing to do, is try to show that. The context of how you're using something is more important than what the gear can actually do. Because if it sounds good or not, well, we want to hear how it sounds. It doesn't matter, actually. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You could take any new gear. So you could take any of this stuff. So the Kemper player, yeah, but how does it sound? It doesn't matter. It just doesn't. In a demo, it does not matter how it sounds in a demo. Period. 100% period does not matter. This ToneX cabinet. This Princeton Tone Master. It doesn't matter at all. How a pedal sounds in a demo doesn't matter. Zero. Doesn't matter at all. Now that I've got everybody riled up, let's go see if there's any comments about this in here, and then we will at a minimum, amps have gain and tone settings. One is supposed to adjust all the controls to achieve your desired sound. Yeah, exactly. If you're testing Edge of Breakup, Santa Monica by Everclear. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, the context of how you use it matters, right? I do pay attention to opinions of YouTube people I trust. No, I get that. I get that a lot. One of the things is, here's what I look at, and we'll get back to this in a minute, but one of the things I look at when I look at a piece of gear, I don't care how it sounds, because how the thing sounds does not matter to me. It matters to you. If I can get a sound out of it that I like, then I'm happy. But if I can get a sound out of it doesn't mean that you will. Okay? But here's the thing about this that I think a lot of people don't think about. And this is going to be a tough one to swallow. Okay? So here's my just going to say it for this week. The people that built the thing are better than you. End of story, period. Okay? So when somebody comes out with a product, and I know this is going to be a hard thing to swallow for a lot of you who think that everybody is out to rip you off. Okay? For those of you who think that the world is out to rip you off and every product that comes out is just a money grab and there's another thing to rip you off, they sell tinfoil hats on Amazon. They're really cheap. You don't even have to make them. You can buy a tinfoil hat already made. Okay? Now, getting it from Amazon might be a little counterproductive to the whole cause. I'm just saying they're available. Okay? For the rest of us who want to just hear cool gear and want to get better at what we're doing and learn more stuff and try more stuff, there is not a guitar company on the planet who wants to stay in business more than a week who is intentionally going to make a product that is bad. Okay? They're all going to make the best product that they can and that they know how and what they have within their resources for a particular price segment. End of story. Whether that executes or not, that's a different thing. But you take Boss Katana, you take the Line 6 thing, you take the Marshall, whatever the code thing is, you take this Black Star, okay, amps. You take any $500 guitar that's made in, Indonesia or China, right? They are trying to make the best guitar they can for that money, the best pedal they can for that money, and the best thing they can because they want to be better than everyone else in that segment. So they're not going to make something that sucks on purpose to rip you off. Okay? If you think so, if you want me to do a review on tinfoil, I can. We use this Reynolds stuff with the nonstick on one side. It's really good. I don't know how good of a hat it makes. I'm just saying there's quality of tinfoil too. But you are the same people that are buying the great value stuff at Walmart that tears halfway through making some French fries. So, it's a thing. My mistake is watching RJ Ronquillo demo something and imagining that I would sound like that. But see, I think you should. I think you should watch somebody like that and go, okay, so guess what? It's not me, right? If I buy this thing and I don't like it, it's not the amp. I apologize. It's not the amp. It's me. If it doesn't do what I want it to do, it's not the amp. This $350 amp or whatever this thing costs that I got, it's not the amp's fault that I suck right now. It's not the amp's fault that the tone sucks right now. The amp does what it says on the tin, right? It does it. There are very few products in guitar world that actually are bad. End of story. There's no arguing that. All this stuff is good. Now, whether it does what you personally want it to do for what the money you want to spend, that's a different conversation altogether. But if you go to Boss and you say, look, man, give me the best $350 amp that you can. Boom. Katana Gen 3. There it is. Everybody loves it. It's awesome. Now, the just as good as guys are going to say, well, yeah, but you can get some Joyo thing off of Amazon for $150. I'm convinced now that no matter what, okay, no matter what there is in anything, anywhere, it could be pocket knives, it could be cars, it could be, it could be guitars, it could be drums, it could be pianos, it could be whatever, that there's going to always be a segment in the market that actually doesn't really care how good the product is as much as they care that they got it for cheaper than somebody else got whatever they got. It actually has nothing to do with how good the thing is. If I spend $1,000 on something and you got something that you think is comparable for $800, you care more about that than the actual hobby itself, actually. Because the bargain and the getting the thing that's just as good as the other thing is the actual hobby at this point, right? So for those people, that's a different conversation. But if we're looking at the actual stuff that we're buying, the actual, like letting it, this is why you need to let things stand on their own and say, okay, does this thing work? It says on the box right here that it has this feature. Does that feature work? Yeah, actually. No, we've had blunders in this kind of stuff, right? Where you have, I had one time when I bought a Boss, whatever that thing was, it wasn't the Katana, but it was the fancier one than that. I forget what it was called, but anyway, I bought that and I returned it immediately because when they released it, the software sucked and it was like, it didn't do what it said on the tin because they didn't execute it properly, right? So you have that sometimes. And that's a different thing. But that's not, hey, but how does it sound? The tone of the thing actually doesn't matter. Because the tone of the thing, if it is a mass market product, is going to be better than you 100% of the time. 100% of the time. Let's see. Gear that sounds good despite my playing has to be first class. Yeah. There's a difference in tinfoil. I thought I was the only one, even beyond the thickness. Dude, for real. There's like a, what do you want to call it? Like a crinkle factor? Like when you crinkle it and it bends like in a hard line and then almost wants to score and tear versus kind of, right? There's a thing. Yeah, tinfoil. It's a thing. For real. Reynolds or bust. Yep, Reynolds heavy duty, for sure. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Now, that's a very good point to bring out. This is a very sober take on guitar and product manufacturing. It can be disappointing to spend your hard-earned money on Fender or whatever, and it has issues, but no, they are both out to get you. So here's the thing about that. We talk about quality all the time. You have to be, when you look at quality, okay, there's a few things that we have to take into account. I guess I forgot my drink. there's a few things that you have to take into account with quality. One is, what is actually the responsibility of the guitar builder? Okay. So setup, for example, is not the responsibility of the guitar builder. They don't know how hard you play. They don't know if you're going to use a slide. They don't know if you're going to change to 10s or 8s or 7s or whatever. So they just have kind of a middle of the road thing and they just throw it on the guitar and that's it, right? That's why Fender Telecasters have 2 millimeters of string height when they come out of the box. And that's way too high in my opinion. But I don't get mad at them. Well, this action was way too high. This thing should have been set up for me, even though they know nothing about me as a person, and I'm now never going to buy a Fender again. No, they just set them all like that, and it makes it easier for the rest of us to, like, you know, set it up how we want. It gives us some room to move around, and we can move the nut down a little bit if we want. We can do our thing and make it custom to us, and everything is awesome, right? So setup's not a thing. That's not a responsibility of the manufacturer. Fret sprout. Okay. When you get a guitar that is super fret sprouted, like let's say you go to your retailer and you buy a guitar and there's tons of fret sprout. There's two things that cause this to happen. Okay. One is the guitar is an inexpensive guitar and the pre-manufacture process has not given care to the wood so that it has a lot of room to move around. You will not see this on a PRS. Okay. You probably won't see it on a Gibson either. You'll probably definitely see it on a made in Mexico Fender. You'll definitely see it on a Squire, and you'll see it on this Indonesian stuff like what we just did in yesterday's video. Once you get below about $1,000, you're going to start seeing this. It's just because of the way the guitars are made and the time that they put into them, okay? Before they build the guitar and after they build the guitar. It's just kind of part of it at that price point, right? Now, you could say, well, yeah, but I bought this thing for $300 from China and it was totally fine. Yeah, okay, maybe. But the consistency therein and the dependability on said quality is non-existent. You buy 5 of them and 3 of them are going to be bad and the one you got was good. Okay. And then some other guy got a good one too. Right. And then the two of you can start a Facebook group and talk about how awesome they are. Right. So that's how that works. So there you go. The rest of us are, not buying them anymore. So then the other factor with that is the quality of the retailer. The quality of the retailer has a lot to do with it because you can get a really good guitar. And if the quality of the retailer, Guitar Center, is bad and you go in there and the humidity's not right and everything, if you've been in a Guitar Center and seen a guitar with rusty strings on it and sharp frets and whatever, I've done this. So we have one locally. They don't like me. Nobody knows who I am, so it's awesome because I can go in there and not really care about anything. And I go in there, right, and I will track a guitar, like literally look at the stock number on it and track it and go, okay, so that guitar has been hanging there for however long, and watch the strings get rusty. Literally, like over a 3-4 week period, like watch the strings go dead, watch the fret sprouts start to happen because they don't manage the humidity and stuff in there. And you can watch it happen to a guitar as it hangs on the wall in Guitar Center because they don't take very good care of it. Okay. So if you have those kinds of problems, this is not quality control. These are environmental things that you can solve. One, if you see it, make sure that, first of all, if it's a cheap guitar, it's probably just going to happen. But if you do see those things happen, return the instrument. Don't put up with it. Just return it. I think my seat is actually starting to go bad. Yep, sure was. I was down about that far. Anyway, yeah. So that's the thing about all this stuff is we can talk all about quality control and all that kind of stuff all we want, but no one is going to be happier about quality control slippage than content dudes with their rage content and 100 subscribers. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I think. I think the Facebook group that talks about quality control is the people that they're the ones that make it worse. I'll tell you right now, I buy a lot of guitars, right? I buy probably one every couple months or once a month. The amount of guitars that I've had that have had issues with them, and all across all brands. Okay. I had a Gibson acoustic come with a broken top brace, and Sweetwater swapped it out for me. I had a PRS Silver Sky SE come with a little bit of fret sprout that I just fixed. I had a Made in Mexico Fender come with a little bit of fret sprout that I just fixed. And that's pretty much it. Over the, dozens and dozens of guitars that I've bought. One time we did an experiment where we did we did this thing where send in, if you actually have problems with a guitar, send us pictures so that we can talk about it. In weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, I only got like 5 responses, and they weren't, maybe one of those was actually a quality control issue that, Gibson or I think it was actually PRS, should have done something about. You know what I mean? I think a lot of this stuff, like you said, is just kind of rage talking. I found that if there are QC issues, they can still be fixed relatively easy unless it's a chunk of wood taken out of the body. I'm a big proponent for just returning the instrument. Here's why. And I know that sucks because you got to deal with it and you got to be without it, But I'm a big proponent for returning the instrument. And the reason is because they don't know. They look at all that. So everybody looks at that. So the retailer looks at that. Then the retailer looks at that and says, how many returns are we getting? And then the manufacturer will look at that and say, how many returns are we getting? And they will get to the bottom of it. Contrary to popular belief, nobody wants quality control issues. Again, this goes back to the tinfoil hat thing. Nobody's doing this to you on purpose, right? Nobody wants to sell a guitar that sucks. Doesn't make sense. So it goes back to the quality control thing. Yeah, just return it. Let everybody know. Let everybody know. And then that's the way to fix the problem, right? Like bitching about it in a Facebook group is not the way to do it. And here's the other thing that's funny is if you have a Les Paul with a quality control issue, then you return it and buy a Harley Benton, then go talk to all your Harley Benton buddies about it. That doesn't fix anything either because it's 2 different audiences. You return it based on principle. People think everything is about them. You got guitar X and you didn't like it. So why do they make it at all? Because there's billions of people that aren't you. Exactly. Yeah. I'm in quality. Thank you, Fox and Hound. I'm in quality and manufacturing. Nothing gets fixed unless it's rejected. True. We had a situation here at DylanTalksTone where we have these pickup covers that we use, and the jig that I was using to solder them on was a little off, and I didn't realize it. And one of my customers called me and said, hey, when I screw it into the guitar, the holds didn't line up, so I had to unsolder the cover and like move it over. I'm like, oh, crap. Man, I hate to get that phone call because I hate to do something wrong, but I'm glad I got it before it like replicated into a whole big thing. Like, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to make a thing that sucks. We don't. Nobody wants to do that. Yeah. There's Jaga guys in the office chair world too. Yeah, I got a fancy office chair coming tomorrow. Yeah. So again, and here's the thing. Going back to our original subject and taking all this quality control stuff into account. But what about the tone, bro? You are the one that makes the sound. I can't control what you sound like. I can't control whether you get... And let me tell you something else. Okay. Soapbox time. I think that this whole idea of not worrying about, does it sound good, bro, on the internet should move you to buy a better guitar. Because then you don't have to worry about it, right? If you want to be the Jaga guy and buy and make the hobby into how cheap you can get a thing, that's okay. That's totally cool. But the cool part is you don't have to worry about any of this. Because then it's just the hobby of, yeah, man, I got this one for free and it looks just like a Gibson. I got this one for $200 and it looks just like a Gibson. Okay, that's cool. That's its own hobby. I respect it. Because those folks buy pickups from us and put them in their guitars and they make them sound awesome, and that's totally cool. But that is a different thing. If we're talking about how you want to sound, do you actually want to be creative musically with the guitar and actually make music and actually have fun playing and enjoy it? I think you should buy the best guitar you can, because then that takes that away from it, right? I own a Gibson Les Paul, not because I'm a snob, although I am, but not because it's not why I bought it. I bought it because it's cool and because I wanted the cool thing. And because I know that there is, if I get a good one, and I got a good one, that there's nothing wrong with it. The equipment is never the limit, right? The equipment is never the limit for me. I will never outgrow it. I never have a reason to get rid of it. I love it. I'll keep it forever. That's awesome. To me, that's the goal. And now I can just sit down. I don't even have to think about it. I don't even have to be, and I don't treat it precious, right? Like I just play it because it's just a thing that sits there and I can grab it and it's right there. And I can play it whenever I want. Whatever price point, it doesn't matter what price point it is. Whatever price point that is for you, whether that's $500 or $1,000 or $1,200 or $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever it is, doesn't matter. To me, that's what you should do. Basically, buy something that you won't grow out of. You know this thing is better than you, and you just play it. And you enjoy modifying it. You enjoy, you put pickups in it, you replace the pots in it, you do some stuff, you learn to solder, you have the hobby. It's really fun. It's super cool. And you're enjoying yourself and you're talking to your friends about it and whatever. But there's no reason to compare it, and there's no reason to worry that it's not going to quote unquote sound good. Because yes, there are bad pickups out there for sure. There are ways to make pickups better for sure. There are, different flavors. That's the way I look at it, to be honest with you. I don't actually look at it as, you should buy my pickups because they're better. Because I get that question. I get that question actually a lot more than you would think. Well, what makes your pickups better than Seymour Duncan? What makes your pickups better than so-and-so? And I'm like, they're not. They're not. And somebody will say like, well, what do you mean? That's a bad business model. And I'm like, no, it isn't actually. It's more valuable for me to say, I'm not trying to be better. I'm trying to give you a different flavor, right? Like there are like 4 different flavors of vanilla ice cream when you go to the store, right? There's a bunch of different stuff, right? So that's what I always go back to is like the Baskin Robbins thing, like 32 flavors or whatever, right? I'm a different flavor. That's all it is. And to be really honest with you, I know there's been a lot of people in our comments section lately talking about, pickups don't make a difference at all. You can put any humbucker in anywhere and everything. Well, that's technically not true. I mean, you can look at it's science, bro. Like it's not that hard. And not bro science. I mean like science, bro. It's not that hard to figure it out. Like you can tell, that the science exists to know that it makes a difference. Now, does it make a difference to you? It might not. That's totally cool. And what I always tell people is if you can't tell the difference, you just save yourself $300. Okay. It doesn't bother me. If you personally can't tell the difference and you don't want to buy my pickups because you can't tell, you just save yourself $300. Now, in 6 months or a year, you might then be like, oh, actually now this makes a little difference to me because now I'm hearing some more nuanced stuff. I'm learning some stuff. I'm moving along in my journey and now it makes a difference. But see, if I would have told you spend the $300 now and you didn't tell any difference, then you would have been mad at me and we would have never talked again. So I think it's more valuable to be like, no, save your money, learn, enjoy it. Like, enjoy it. Don't worry about how it sounds all the time. I know this is Dylan Talks Tone, but the tone actually doesn't matter like a lot of the time. The tone doesn't matter until you want it to. It doesn't. The tone doesn't matter until you want it to. The color of the guitar, how it feels, how cool it looks, on the stand, and also, while you're playing it, and, the heritage of it and where it comes from in the story you can tell your friends, and your dad gave it to you and all that kind of stuff. All of those things matter, and it's got a lacquer finish, and it feels cool. And like when I rub my finger right here, I like how it feels, and all in the way the case smells when you open it, and the COA that came with it, and the little picture. And Gibson gives you a little picture and stuff, and I got a coin, I think, with the custom shop thing and whatever. That's really cool. All that stuff's cool. It has nothing to do with the tone, nothing to do with it. But it all matters. It's really cool. And then at some point, I bought the guitar because it's cool. And at some point I'm going to sit down and go, okay, I want this thing to sound how I want it to sound. Oh, it doesn't. So A, I need to practice, or B, I need to buy another pedal. No, I'm just kidding. But we get to the point and we say, okay, now the tone matters. Now I'm going to start really dialing things in. But the bottom line is this: pretty much every gear, all the gear will get you pretty close within reason. So like, if you're a metal guy, pick a metally guitar and a metally amp and you'll get there. If you're a bluesy guy, pick a bluesy guitar and a bluesy amp and you'll get there. It's not that hard. And if you don't, just give it time. Give it time. So when you go and watch a review, and you go and watch a review and you see this amp and it's like, well, yeah, but I didn't hear that. So it sucks. Like this amp, does it do the edge of breakup bluesy thing? Yeah, it does. Maybe I didn't do it, but it doesn't matter. It does it. Like it does it. You know how I know? Because somebody else did it on their YouTube channel. I know it does it. So it doesn't really matter. Features on, especially on some of these like digitally kind of amps like this, feature set, does it do what you want it to do? Period. Here's my criteria is I want to be able to sit down and play guitar without having to read a manual. Like I don't want to read a manual. So if I can sit down and just like turn some knobs, some actual knobs, like not buttons, and go, okay, yeah, that's cool. And I'm getting some decent sounds. And even if they're not the ones I want to get, I know they're in there. If I spend 15 minutes and I'm like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. It's not totally cool. I'm not there yet. But if I spend 15 minutes and I figure that I can get some stuff out of this thing, then if I spend an afternoon with it, then I will, right? That's reasonable. That is a reasonable assumption to make. Unless you buy cheap tinfoil, then it's different. But I think that's a lot of the thing for us. If you are drawn to a piece of equipment because it's cool, and then sit down and go, okay, is this thing better than me? That might be the answer. Not is the tone, does it have the tone, but is this thing better than me? Because some gear isn't. Some gear isn't. If it's really entry-level gear and you're not an entry-level player, chances are it's something that you realize some more nuances and stuff about playing that makes it to where, a Line 6 Spider Jam's not for you. But be honest with yourself about that. And then, because if it is better than you, then it's probably fine. Yeah, it's probably fine. There you go. You guys, it's been fun. Thanks for hanging out. We got another string test tomorrow, which is going to be, I've been playing Cobalts all week. So we will talk to you all later. Thanks for hanging out. This has been a good time, and I hope you have a good one. We will see you later.